Penguin Random House Audio presents 10 North Frederick by John O'Hara. Read for you by Scott Aiello. Part 1. Edith Chapin was alone in her sewing room on the third floor of the house at number 10 in Frederick Street. The room was warm. The day was cold and unbrightened by the sun. The shutters in the bay window were closed, but the slats in the shutters were open, and Edith Chapin could, when it pleased her, go to the bay window and look down on her yard and the two-story garage that had been a stable, and above and beyond the gilded figure of a trotting horse on the weather vane, she could see roof upon third story of the houses on the rising hill. She would know the names of nearly all of the people who lived in them. She knew the names of the owners. She had spent her lifetime in the town, and it was easy to know who everyone was and where everyone lived. It was especially easy for Edith because she had always had a reputation for shyness, and it was not expected of her to make a fuss over people. She could notice them and study them if it pleased her, without any further social effort on her part than simple politeness called for. It had always been that way. At a gentle knock on her sewing-room door, 2 knocks, not an unnecessary third, Edith Chapin cleared her throat and said gently, "Who is it?" Her enunciation was slow and precise. "It's me, Mum. Mary." "Come in," said Edith Chapin. Mary was an Irishwoman from Glasgow, with a clear skin and brown eyes full of self-respect behind her tortoise-shell spectacles. Her bust was abundant, and her waist not thick. "What is it, Mary?" "It's Mr. Hooker, the newspaper editor. Wants to see you, Mum." "To see me? Is he here?" "Yes, ma'am. I put him in the sitting room." "Alone? Or is Mrs. Hooker with him?" "Nobody with him, just himself," said Mary. "Are there a lot of other people down there?" "There's quite a crush, ma'am, sitting and talking. There isn't chairs for all." "I know. Did anyone offer Mr. Hooker a chair?" said Edith Chapin. "Not by the time I left. I'll come right up. Maybe somebody did offer him one since." Edith Chapin nodded. "This is what I'd like you to do, Mary." "Yes, ma'am." "Go downstairs, and if Mr. Hooker isn't sitting with someone, if he's just standing with the others, you go up to him and ask him if you can speak to him for a moment. Then, when you get him out in the hall, tell him I'll see him. But if he's sitting down with some people, you see, I don't want to make an exception for anybody. I haven't seen anybody, as you know, but I think I ought to see Mr. Hooker, such a good friend of Mr. Chapin's." "A great admirer of Mr. Chapin's. Great. The article yesterday, it made you realize, if you didn't already." "Yes. That's why I would like to make an exception in his case." "Will I bring you a cup of tea, Mum?" No, thanks. I don't want him to stay that long. Remember now, if he's sitting down with the others, don't single him out, but if he's standing, it'll look as though he had an appointment with me." "I understand perfectly, Mum," said Mary. "You can bring me a cup of tea after he's gone. I'd like a cup of tea and 2 soft-boiled eggs. Some toast and some of that grape jelly, if there's any left." "There's a whole new jar I opened." "Oh, then there was some more. I was sure we had some left. Where did you find it?" "It was in with the currant, on that shelf." "It didn't have the label on it." "Oh, that's where it was. And some cigarettes when you bring the tea? It might be a good idea if you put the cigarettes under a napkin, some of the older ladies." "Yes, Mum," said Mary, and left. Edith Chapin composed herself in the ladder-back rocking-chair, and was so arranged a few minutes later when Mary's knock came again. She knocked twice and waited, then knocked twice again. "Yes?" Edith Chapin called out. "It's me, Mum, with Mr. Hooker," said Mary. "Come in, please," said Edith Chapin. Mary swung the door open, making way for the man. "Mr. Hooker, ma'am." "Good morning, Robert," said Edith.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?